Welcome to the second episode of Leadership Lens. And in this episode, I'll be talking about the cost of public disputes in leadership or in business and how leaders should manage public disputes, crises, altercations, how to make sure that it doesn't affect your reputation, your business, and what you stand out for. And it's very important to know that one tweet, one wrong message, one wrong statement can actually destroy your brand and destroy partnerships you set up with organizations or with government. And you must be able to master, how to manage conflict resolution as a leader. And that's what this video is all about. I'll be using as a case study the dispute between United States President Donald Trump and Elon Musk, Tesla. And what I'll be sharing is about concepts and principles and protocols that are used by great leaders to actually manage public disputes to make sure that it doesn't end up costing you so much. Things that you could have avoided, things you could have prevented. You want to make sure that you do them early to make sure that they work for you. I'm going to be discussing what I call the conflict resolution protocols. Conflict resolution protocols are protocols that are used by great leaders, companies, organizations, governments to actually manage public disputes and conflicts. And what you want to do is to make sure that you address those things early and make sure you look out for signs of conflict before it starts. And when it starts, you want to make sure that you are responding in a systematic way and the right person is responding. You want to make sure you take emotions out of the way. It's very, very important that emotions do not control the narrative. Whatever you have to say to defend yourself, to justify yourself, you want to make sure that you take away emotions from it. Very, very key that leaders must be able to do this, to manage emotions and to make sure that emotions do not dictate what your response is, what your responses are. And the first point is that you have to realize that public disputes is not going to go away. They're going to happen. There are going to be disagreements between you and your partners. And that partner may be a government, maybe another company, maybe a vendor, maybe a supplier, maybe a customer, a client that actually pays you. I want to make sure that you prevent damage of your brand equity. You want to prevent any form of damage to your brand equity and make sure that your stakeholder confidence is high, despite the challenge you may be facing. And that's why leaders must be careful the way they respond to disagreements, the way they manage disagreements, the way they manage conflicts when they do occur. Leaders are usually very confident people with a lot of ego. And when two egos collide and clash, like I described in a former video, you want to make sure that you manage your utterances to make sure that you minimize damage at all costs. Get your message out there without any major damage to your brand, to your person, to your reputation, to your business. And you want to do this by making sure that you follow the conflict resolution protocols. The first is look out for early warning signs. What are the early warning signs that things are about to go wrong? And what are the procedures you put in place to identify these early warning signs? Things like surveys, feedback, alignment with vision, milestones for a project, things that are supposed to have been achieved. If they're not going the way it's supposed to go, you know that there's likely going to be a dispute along the line. For example, using the example of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Elon Musk's agenda or plan, which he sold to the president, was helping to save costs in government spending with the Dodge that was supposed to head the Department of Government Efficiency with his Dodge that was meant to head. When he realized that things were going south and the president was taking another route and he will not be able to defend that plan, number one, the first early signs is to have regular checking to make sure that this is not what we agreed. Things are going south. This is not the way we planned this thing. This is what I sold to you, and you accepted. And from your actions, you seem to be taking a opposite direction. We want to be able to establish that communication early to make sure that you communicate what you think is the variance from what has been agreed. And the next step is escalation pathways. You want to make sure that you have clear chains of command, defining who is going to handle which conflict and at which level, who is going to be the one speaking. There must be somebody in charge when things go wrong. It doesn't have to be you. You don't have to be the one responding, addressing the issues, managing the conflict, defending yourself, attacking the other person. There are people that are trained to actually manage this kind of strategic communications. I'm not sure whether Elon Musk did that. And the idea is to make sure that you de-escalate quite early, let other people do the talking for you and do it more diplomatically so that you're not in the face, you're not in the media. And in this case, you have Elon Musk is going against the president. No matter how wrong the president is, he was the highest power in the world, he's the most powerful man in the world. You are not going to be able to win that battle power for power. That's the truth. The earlier you know that, the better. And people are still going to line up behind the president. He has so much power. He can do so much favors. People need him more than they need you. So at the end of the day, people will align with him, even when they know he's wrong. For example, look at the US Senate, for example. They're passing a spending bill, despite the fact that a lot of them don't agree with it, because this is a Republican presidency. President wields a lot of power, even if you don't agree with it. At the end of the day, a lot of power, a lot of pressure, a lot of this is my reign, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve, this is what you need. We can give you some things you need on the other side. They will negotiate. There'll be some trade-offs. At the end of the day, he's still going to get what he wants. And if he doesn't get it properly through the Senate, he will veto it. He will veto it. It's not left for you to decide whether you want to impeach him or not. And are you going to get that enough votes to impeach him? The president that is that popular. So the idea is to make sure that you identify those things that are going on early, define a chain of command, who handles what. When this crisis gets to this level, somebody that has the prescribed experience in strategic communication should be the one handling it. And handling things like that, dispute, doesn't mean that you have to be speaking to the media. You can be handling it diplomatically, behind doors, low profile, and trying to negotiate things. It doesn't have to come to the pages of newspaper. It doesn't have to come to tweets on Twitter and things like that, or on Truth Social and things like that. They're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you can see from this dispute that both of them want to be the one talking. They don't actually want people to talk for them. And it's also another ego issue. When you have very powerful people, and if you are a leader, you have to realize that there are a lot of times you have to take the back seats. When things are very heated up, you are not, your emotions will take the better of you if you are talking publicly. And anything that you say that is negative, it's very difficult for you to take it back. It will be very, very difficult. Those words will go a long way, and you may not be able to take it back. So establish escalation pathways and make sure that you are able to put the right people to manage those conflicts. The next step in conflict resolution management is to document things properly. There are standards for recording conflict details. There are standards for communication. We want to make sure that the communication is done properly. There are some things that are better written than said, because when you're saying some things, the emotion can get the better of you. And that emotion will be captured in your body language, in your tone, and it can actually send the wrong message. So you want to make sure that you document things properly and ensure there's accountability, and you make sure that you don't escalate more than what is required, and use the right channel to respond to the right issue at any point in time. The next is mediation process. You will need some mediators at some point. And these are formal procedures where you are able to bring people together on a neutral ground to actually discuss with a third party that is working for both of you to actually see how to resolve and negotiate things out, including whether the people are internal to you, it might be your staff, it may be the staff of the other party. For example, Elon Musk and the US president. Negotiators, maybe senators, senior special advisors, to actually mediate on this issue so that all these parts don't go on the public, on the page of newspaper and all that. It's going to damage both parties at the end of the day. The president of the United States is going to survive it. He has so much power. And when you are running a business, and you don't lose so much power, you have to tread carefully, So you want to make sure that you have some form of mediation. It reduces you talking, it reduces the emotions. Third party, somebody neutral, non-biased, will be able to stay in the middle and be able to manage the two egos and arrive at a negotiation. These are very highly skilled professionals. They know how to manage these kind of things, and they speak to power. They know how to manage power, manage egos, and make sure that things are de-escalated. You also want to make sure that you want to set deadlines and timelines for each stage of the conflict so that it does not go too long. For example, the current spat between the president and Elon Musk, I believe, is getting too long, where they're going back and forth at each other. This one says one thing, the other person responds. It's going too long, and it has to be stopped. So that whatever needs to be happening behind closed doors. They don't have to bring those back and forth to the public, to the media, to X, to Twitter, and all that, through social, and they're going back and forth. This person says one thing, the next day the other person responds, and all that. It's a bit childish, and a lot of reputation will be damaged, a lot of businesses will be damaged, and Tesla will be the worst hit because nothing's going to happen to the United States president. He has so much power. Nothing is really going to happen to him. And you want to make sure that you limit the length of each of those phases so that it doesn't get out of hand. Then stick to communications guidelines that, are very professional. For example, you have to limit how information flies around. Confidentiality is very important. Using the appropriate channels is very, very important. For example, private meetings versus group discussions, press statement versus private meetings or closed door meetings. Things like this are better discussed, behind closed doors. You don't want to call a press conference where people are asking questions and you're responding, and the questions can actually trigger the wrong answers because you are being put on the spot. It is live, it's been televised, it's going to go very viral very quickly. But if such meetings are held closed door, you're able to negotiate, you're able to limit how those news spread, those statements spread, and you can actually, de-escalate quickly, So the communication strategy is very important, I would advise that going forward, they both manage those back and forth behind closed doors. Nobody wants to hear the insults all at the president. Nobody wants to hear the insult. The president is holding back at Elon Musk. They are too big, the two of them, at the level which they play, they are too big for all those childish stuff. So I would advise the right thing to do, the right things that their handlers should do right now is to make sure that those things are held behind closed doors going forward. It doesn't speak well of both brands and both personalities. It's very important, and if it's not managed well, it's going to spiral into reputational damage, even for the president, because if it's pushed beyond a certain limit, people can start questioning his integrity, questioning his ability to rule the country and all that. And Elon Musk is already suggesting it, that he should be impeached. Whether that's going to happen, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's going to trigger some things that are negative that are very, very unnecessary. When your biggest ally, your biggest supporter, your biggest donor, the richest man in the world pulls up behind you and starts saying damaging negative things against you, is not good. It's not good. And you can see a lot of secrets are coming out. Somebody's accusing, attacking somebody's private life. Is it this? Is it that? Things that nobody should have known, if not for these disagreements that is going south. You know. So my advice is for leaders to create structured conflict resolution protocols to make sure that you manage communication very, very strategically when there is a dispute. You want to make sure you de-escalate it and you write. I'll share my own experience. There was a time I was dealing with a government agency as a CEO, and we had a project that we were managing for the government, and that project was supposed to be profitable, and it went south. Uh, we ran into losses, and the government didn't want us to suspend that program because it will look bad for them that people are pulling out of the program. But because we're profit, we're a for-profit organization. There's no way I'll continue to carry those losses for a business that is not sustainable. So we reached out to them, we wrote to them, requested for a meeting, and they did not honor that meeting. But what we did is we kept writing. We kept writing to say, this is the situation, trying to break down the reality. These are the figures. This is why this program is not sustainable, and this is why we cannot continue to fund it from other businesses. We'll prefer that this program is reviewed, the rates for this program is reviewed, so that we continue to support the activities of the government. We don't also want to look like at any slightest challenge or itch where we're going to abandon a government project that has far-reaching social impact. So we wanted to show that at least we have some solidarity for the government program and for the impact that it's going to create. At the same time, we cannot continue to run this, at a loss, because at the end of the day, we are not going to get a grant or a bailout from the government. So we were able to manage that ego. We didn't let it go public to say this is what is happening, we are dissatisfied. But we managed it professionally. We wrote to them, kept it private, and let them know that according to the agreement and terms, we'll be exiting this service at so time if nothing is done, because we cannot continue to suffer losses. And that's what I did. I exited the program respectfully, carefully, privately, and that I didn't take out that information out. A lot of information I have on that project that are very detrimental to government, because a lot of lack of efficiency, a lot of lack of offenses, a lot of fraud, which I feel that the government was not doing anything about. So, but I kept it private because pushing it out there, ridiculing the government, what will you actually do? Will you actually do anything to let me make my case? Let them know what they can do to address this issue and hope that they would do it. At least I've done my part. I cut the losses. I leave the program. At the same time, I don't have to attack the reputation of the government or the program in a bid to score cheap points. And that's how I managed it. And I extended that program as a company. And we're still able to maintain mutual relationship. In fact, shortly after that, my company got its license, renewed by the same government without any form of revenge or any form of being victimized for actually walking away from the government program. So we were able to manage that crisis using the crisis resolution protocol. And in doing that conflict resolution protocol, making sure that you are professional, making sure that you manage things behind closed doors. You are not so public with very sensitive information that can be damaging, that can expose the government unnecessarily. The issue you have is with the government. Address it with them. Don't take it public and try and get it public against the government and things like that. So if you're a government contractor, you provide services, you want to be able to manage those things. Government has issues with efficiency everywhere in the world, so it's not new. What is happening in the US with spending and all that, and the challenge Elon Musk has. The truth is, a government will never be run by like a private company. Never. That kind of efficiency, because they are not for profit, will not be there. I'm not trying to justify wasteful spending or lack of inefficiency, but when you are dealing with those kind of institutions, you want to manage those power dynamics carefully. So the takeaway for leaders is for you to create structured conflict resolution protocols in your company. What are the likely crises your business will face? What are the likely challenges your business will come in contact with in the line of doing the business? You want to make sure that you create protocols that will be handy when those needs arise. Make sure that you're professional. Make sure that you have people handling different stages of the conflict. Try and manage discussions privately than public sparks and criticisms and exposures and things like that. And you want to make sure you create a pathway for negotiation, which is always good, prevents reputational damage, and don't burn the bridge because you might need that bridge to come back. Don't burn the bridge. You want to manage, no matter how difficult that relationship may be, manage that relationship in such a way that you can still have a working relationship in the future. So avoid what you say. Don't allow emotions to get the better of you. If you are the leader, you are the face of the brand or the organization, you don't have to be the one talking all the time. And most of the talking should be behind closed door in private, rather than in the media or social media, print or whatever, or TV. And you want to make sure that you maintain mutual respect. So manage your business very well. Have great structured conflict resolution protocols that you follow and make sure that you are able to still work together or partner in the future if all those things are resolved. If the conflict is not managed very well, a lot of things that are not supposed to be said, very negative, very damaging, very insulting, are let out in the open, are let out in the media, it's going to be there for a long time. And even when those issues are resolved, the fact that those things linger may actually prevent any further relationship in the future. So you want to manage it very well. That would have been my take. Elon Musk should be more strategic going forward. No public statements. Let your mediators manage the discussions, manage the negotiations in private with the US president. It's too powerful for you to be going back and back, exposing him, insulting him, bringing up accusations, things like that. That are a criminal that has not been proven, has not been convicted of. So you want to make sure that you prevent those things. It's rather unnecessary when you let emotions get the better of you. You have a company to run. You want that company to outlive you. The company has so much big things to achieve. Don't drown all that because of a personality. Remember, it's a face. Donald Trump is going to use his 4 years. He's going to leave. So your company is going to, outlive the tenure of Donald Trump. So focus on the long term. Focus on the big picture. Avoid personality fights. And let your team, very experienced media PR people, conflict resolution people, manage it for you. Do less of the talking. Like I said in my first video on the leadership lens, the most powerful people are usually invisible. The people you don't see working behind the scenes are usually the most powerful people. So you can be that person that is that powerful that people don't see, but their influence is everywhere. They are dictating, they're influencing every decision of the people you see. And I think I'd rather want to be that person. But a lot of people love the limelight, and they would rather be in the limelight at any cost. But as you get bigger as a leader, more powerful, except you are a politician that you have to be in the face of the public. If you're a private person in business, and you're not a politician that has a public office that mandates that you must be in the face of the public, you want to be as quiet as possible, as invisible as possible, while still wielding power. That's very good position to be in. And I think that's the way it should be handled. So I would like to encourage you to set up conflict resolution pathways in your organization, looking at common things and manage disagreements better with your business partners, whether they are also businesses to individuals or government. And I'd like to hear your comment, how you manage disagreement and conflicts, and where you have been in this kind of situation, how did you handle it? And what do you think could have been done better in this case? I hope to see you in the next video of the Leadership Lens, where we explore leadership issues in context using real-life case studies to discuss powerful leadership principles for leaders, regardless of your position, if you're a leader. I wish to see you in the next video. Click, subscribe, share to people that need this. I'll see you in the video. And I'm welcoming your comments, suggestion of ideas, what you have done in a similar situation, how you managed it, and what we can do to actually, you know, bring more topics to you that are very relevant, that you will be able to enjoy and also engage as we go along. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video.